Hey, what's up, people? JayDub here. Gonna be giving my thoughts on this last episode of Monday Night Raw with Buzz Aldrin as a celebrity guest host. It was hosted in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, and it was a commercial-free episode also. What were your thoughts on this show as a whole? A lot of big things happened. One of those big things was, like, the first 30 minutes of the show. I'll just say, all in all, the whole show was good, but the first 30 minutes of the show were absolutely excellent. It started out Bret Hart. He was in the ring, not too sure if he was gonna, compete in a match with The Miz for the United States Championship, but Chris Jericho comes out there. He's starting to goad Bret Hart into taking on the match, and he does. The crowd was going crazy for the two Canadians, but they did end up booing Chris Jericho, and that's the only way you're going to get a Canadian crowd to boo Chris Jericho, if you have him standing in opposition to Bret Hart. Because I think the last time they were in Canada, Chris Jericho, he was doing a promo, and he said the city stunk like cow pies, and was talking about how the women were ugly and stuff, and the crowd still cheered for him. But, now all you have to do is add Bret Hart, and the crowd, finally boos Chris Jericho in Canada. But, yeah, that was a pretty great segment between those two guys. Then that, transfers into two more Canadians, a match between Edge and Christian. A lot of people have been calling for this match, a feud between these two guys. Not quite a feud, but we did get a segment with them a couple of weeks ago on SmackDown, and we finally get a match, and they haven't gone one-on-one in so many years. So, yeah, this was pretty great to see, and it was a great match. These two guys tore the house down, put on a pretty exciting match. They had so many counters in that, and the announcers explained that, very well, saying that they had so much history between each other. They were former tag team champions, multiple-time tag team champions, and notice that they're no longer brothers anymore. They're best friends, but, that I really don't care about that. It was still cool nonetheless. But, yeah, they had so many counters because the announcers explained that they knew each other better than they knew themselves. So that was all great, and I loved how they put Christian on an equal playing field to Edge, even though Christian hasn't got that world title in WWE yet. Hopefully that does lead to that. But yeah, the theme for the night for Randy Orton and Edge, it was a pick your poison thing. The funny thing about that, Randy Orton, he jumps on a Titantron and he's like, "Hey Edge, I don't know why you wasted your time, but that's not who I picked to be your opponent. Your opponent is going to be The Undertaker." And out of nowhere, The Undertaker comes out there. That was so random, but I think it was great. So many people say Raw is predictable. I want to know how many people saw that in their, crystal balls, my psychics out there. I want to know how many people saw that coming. But yeah, that match didn't end up happening. It ended in a what was it, a count out. Edge got himself counted out, but he still got chokeslammed by The Undertaker. It was great to see The Undertaker back in WWE and on Monday Night Raw. So all in all, a great 30 minutes, first 30 minutes of the show. What else happened in the show? We had the return of Virgil. I don't remember Virgil at all, because I know for sure I wasn't watching WWE when him and the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase Sr. were there. Hell, I probably wasn't even born, so I really don't know. But yeah, hopefully Virgil is only coming back to get revenge and basically, whoop Ted DiBiase Jr.'s ass and get revenge for his father using him as his servant for so long. So moving on from that, we had Buzz Aldrin as a celebrity guest host. He was only involved for 2 segments in the night. Wasn't even on the camera for that long, but I'm pretty sure people are going to still complain about it anyway. But the second segment of the night, it was funny. He was threatening to beat up Zack Ryder for saying that the moon landing was fake. The first segment of the night, that was the most important one, because he was with Vicky Guerrero, and basically he announced that Raw will have a new general manager next week. They were sticking to Vicky Guerrero's decision to resign last week, and he said he called the WWF headquarters, but then he said WWE. But I really don't blame him for saying WWF, because looking at Vicky Guerrero, I would have called the World Wildlife Fund on her ass too. So whatever. But yeah, I guess let the speculation begin down in the comment section below. Who do you think is going to be the new general manager of Monday Night Raw? Who do you want to be the general manager of Monday Night Raw? I don't even think I'm going to guess now. I haven't really thought about it too much. I'll give it a couple of days, maybe let you guys know on Wednesday on a sideshow. And speaking of the sideshow, the theme for this week will be World's Worst Wrestling Botches. I want you to get your video clips together, your YouTube links, and we'll talk about it on JayDubShow.com on Wednesday. But yeah, speaking of JayDubShow.com, I was on there doing Raw, which I am every Monday, and I chat with a lot of people while Raw is in progress. And while the match for the United States Championship was happening, and the match did actually happen, like a lot of people were saying, oh, is it going to be another screw job? Is the match even going to take place? Is Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson going to find some way to replace Bret Hart in the match? None of that happened. It actually went on, and it was a no disqualification match. So I was on JayDubShow.com chatting with people, but I was quiet when this sequence started to happen because somebody described it as a clusterfuck, but an entertaining clusterfuck. And I would pretty much agree with that because you have so many people trying to get into the match and interfering in the match, from William Regal, Vladimir Kozlov, Tyson Kidd, David Hartsmith, Natalia, Chris Jericho, so many people trying to get involved, and the match ended up with Bret Hart defeating The Miz for the United States Championship. And so while I was on JayDubShow.com, I'm reading the comments as I'm, watching the show also, and people are like, oh, JayDub isn't saying anything. He must be beating his head against the wall. And then other people were like, oh, I know he's going to rant about this in his video. And you know what? Nah, I'm not gonna rant about it because I actually think that this is a pretty good move by Vince and the WWE creative team, because you have to put things into perspective and see what they're doing with Bret Hart. He's been gone from WWE for 12 years. The last time we saw him in WWE, he was in Canada. The Montreal Screwjob happened. He got screwed out of a championship. So basically what they're trying to do right now is give back to him, help him find peace with the whole Montreal Screwjob situation. He thought he should have walked out of his home country with the championship held high 12 years ago. Fast forward, he's finally doing that. He finally gets his moment. So when you look at things like that, I do believe that this was a great move by WWE. And this is Bret Hart's swan song. So all of you people thinking that, oh, he's going to be in there squashing the young guys and it's another old guy, taking the spotlight. Don't look at it like that. This isn't that other. You know what? I digress. Moving on. But yeah, I think this is really Bret Hart's swan song. I don't think he's going to even defend the championship. He's probably going to vacate it. They'll probably have a tournament, something like that. And yeah, and things will keep moving. Like they're giving Bret Hart the perfect picture that he should have had the last time when he was in WWE. So I think it's all good. And for the people saying he buried The Miz, coming from a big misfit, so what? This is only one bump, one small minor bump in a very long road. For the longest time in WWE, The Miz has been getting an uber crazy push, and I don't think this is going to derail him. He's going to recover from this. He's going to move on, and he will prosper. So I don't think there's anything to really panic about. And what else do I have to talk about in the show? Oh, it ended with Batista putting John Cena in a submission hold. Somebody described it as a modified Regal stretch, and I thought it was a great image to end the show. And John Cena with that horrible looking face, and it was so twisted and contorted. It was just blood, veins popping out everywhere. I thought that was a great way to end the show. Batista getting an upper hand on John Cena, leading into their I Quit match for the WWE Championship at Over the Limit pay-per-view. So all in all, I thought this episode was a pretty good show. The first 30 minutes were great. I'm gonna see if I was missing anything, and we had a 3-on-3 Divas match. It was, who was it? Maryse, Layla, Michelle McCool versus the Bella Twins and the Divas champion Eve. Interesting thing about this match, yeah, it was I won't say it was a pretty good match. I'll say it wasn't horrible. I didn't detect any botches from the match, but it's a Divas match, so what do you expect? But the crowd was absolutely dead during the match. I wish they would have been more into it than what they were, but you really can't blame them because WWE hasn't put much effort into the Divas division, so you can't really expect much from the crowd. We have to see a change in WWE first before we get back on board. But yeah, interesting thing about that, Layla and Michelle McCool both came out with women's championships. And I'm looking like, okay, Michelle, you're trying to fucking steal the spotlight from Layla. I didn't see her running around with the championship when you had the belt, but now you want to try to steal the spotlight after she got the pin on Beth Phoenix. But You know, even though I don't like Michelle trying to steal the spotlight, it does provide an interesting twist, and I am intrigued by it, and I will be watching to see what happens on Friday Night SmackDown with the Women's Championship. Another match we have tonight, Randy Orton, Jack Swagger. Randy won in a disqualification. I thought they were going to let him get the clean pin over Jack Swagger because, you know, him on Monday Night Raw, it just hasn't been working out, and I thought they were going to let Randy get some revenge for Jack beating him at Extreme Rules, but it ended in a DQ with Edge interfering, setting up for their match at Over the Limit, so I thought that was great. All in all, a great show. I think I pretty much covered everything. Oh, and did anybody hear Batista call Mark Henry the Kool-Aid Man? Like, did anybody catch that? Like, was I the only one? Like, when he hit after he hit Mark Henry with that weak-ass 2x4, which it probably would have broken half if he blew on it hard enough. But, yeah, he attacked Mark Henry with 2x4, laid him out on the ground, and he said something like, "All right, Kool-Aid," like, "You all right, Kool-Aid?" Did anybody else hear that? I thought that was pretty funny. But, yeah, this show was a pretty good show.